Hi everyone, I'm Zen, your astrologer, and this is your midweek astrology update, taking a look at the celestial influences influencing us in the present moment. And for this particular update, I also included a special tarot guidance, asking the divine intelligence to offer us any kind of guidance, advice, wisdom which might help us in the present moment. Now, astrologically speaking, we have a very active sky all throughout the week. The sun, freshly moved into the sign of Pisces, is already activating that very dense karmic area of the sky. So a lot of karmic issues from the past, the distant past, many things in our lives that still need perhaps a closure, a completion, a resolution. Maybe we need some information or to see the truth about something which took place in the past. So these karmic energies are definitely going to stay with us for all of Pisces season. And even though this energy can go either way, for some people, this can be a very tough period when basically memories, everything that lies in our unconscious, everything that we repressed, may just all of a sudden pop to the surface. This is where the inner volcano might just explode, leaving us with no other option but to confront the truth, to confront our true feelings, everything that we authentically are processing emotionally. But ultimately, even if this is a little bit depressive, if this is a little bit melancholic, if you're simply not happy with what we're being shown, what we're being revealed, this is actually for our greatest good, because this gives us the chance to alchemize it, to change it, to transform it, to give it a deeper meaning, to look at the past and everything bad that might have happened there, everything that is still one way or another alive in the present, and it still influences us, maybe only just emotionally, maybe just the memory of it. Still, we have the chance to transform the way we look at it, to transform the way we see it and perceive it, and what emotional value we attribute to it. So either way, this is a really good spiritual period to just try our very, very best to find a deeper, more karmic, more spiritual meaning to everything that has happened to us. And ultimately, with certain situations, we do have to take responsibility. So switch out of self-victimization mode, where, even fate, even karma, even the most unfavorable events, many times they do have a lot to do with our choices, with our preferences. We can't actually be in the wrong place, in the wrong time, if something doesn't steer us there from within. And many times that steering force is the shadow. It is our own hurts and wounds, our insecurities, our dissatisfaction, our inner frustration or perhaps rage, all of which we might have suppressed. So a lot of Freudian energies, if this makes sense. So even though this can be somewhat painful and uncomfortable, well, it still gives us the chance to look at the truth, why things happen the way they happen, in the sense that maybe we'd had certain faults as well. Maybe the feeling in our hearts wasn't the most pure, wasn't the most authentic. Maybe we were guided by a personal illusion, etc. So all of these might lead to bad choices, and bad choices have a massive karmic domino effect in our lives. So even if this energy, even if you personally get the most uncomfortable part of this energy, know that the big picture, the reason why this is just popping up from your soul, is for you to find closure, forgiveness, acceptance, and to just release it. But of course, for other people, they might get the most elevated, they might get the most beautiful part of this energy, which is dreams, fantasy, artistic expression. This is where it gives us the chance to explore the depths of our souls, and many people can find the most beautiful, light-hearted, innocent, pure feelings within them, and that just adds to your own personal mystery and to your own personal spiritual power, because what you see within yourself is ultimately also what the universe sees. And if you see butterflies, rainbows, the birds singing, well, that is a karmic reward, a gift from the universe on its own. So of course you have all the reasons to be joyful, to be full of gratitude, and to use this gift in order to beautify any other area of your life. Because when you are in this deep spiritual and artistic vibes, you can basically alchemize, transfigure in its most optimistic and favorable version anything that happens in life, good and bad. And at the same time, a karmic energy can also be something very, very positive, because if you have done something really, really good, compassionate maybe in your past, then it is time for you to celebrate and to be grateful for your actions, for your wisdom, for your empathy. And another expression of this energy, which basically has no polarity attached to it, it isn't good or bad, well, it is that our unconscious minds are very, very active during this season. So we may be bombarded with a lot of unusual dreams, altered state of consciousness. This is where the spiritual world, the divine, is closer to us than any other part of the year. So this is a really, really good season for artists, spiritualists, psychologists, even healthcare professionals, because this Piscean energy does make them much more compassionate and make them believe that much more in the work that they're doing. So that is good news for everyone, really. And of course, for a few very lucky people, this can also be a period where the paranormal, where the supernatural, where the spiritual is more present in their lives than in any other part of the year. So this is a really good period to just observe and reflect, and of course learn from it spiritually, from all the synchronicities, from all the phenomenon, from everything unusual that might be happening in your life or perhaps external reality. Because in external reality, this is also a really powerful period. Well, Pisces is karma, it is the past, but it's also recent karma. What has happened in our lives, what choices, or everything that we have done, starting from the end of the last Pisces season, so 2020. So perhaps collectively, it might not be the most fantastic energy, and the simple reason why, well, all throughout 2020, imagine the sheer amount of fear energy that millions of people have released into the cosmos, into the universe from all over the world. And there were so very many moments last year, and even at the beginning of this year, when we couldn't help it but to fear certain things. And if it's not the virus, if it's not anything which could pose imminent danger, well, then there is the economy, there is the social instability, there is this general unhappiness, restlessness, there is this massive political war going on in every cultures, every countries, inner affairs, but also on the world stage. So all of this meant the energy of fear, even if that fear is justified, even if that fear is very rational, fear energy when built up, well, it does attract very powerful karmic lessons. So this might be, from a collective perspective, I repeat, a really wild period when humanity gets a little bit more of what they feared, because all that fear energy built up is definitely gonna attract things. Of course, this doesn't mean doom and gloom for all of us. This means that perhaps very relevant, karmically and spiritually symbolic events might happen on the world stage, which might act as a wake-up call for all of us to be careful what we fear and how much fear and desperation we allow to exit our own beings and just exist in the world. Like a valid example for this is the Black Lives Matter movement. More specifically, the event, the martyr that triggered it, because Pisces does have one of its not so favorable qualities, as in martyrdom, self-sacrificial tendencies. So naturally, in this period, karma might also reveal to us collectively, as I said, that a lot of fear can actually attract bad things in our lives. Where just the case of one specific person, a martyr, a symbolic event might shock a lot of people. So I am most certain that there are gonna be in our lives, but also perhaps on the world stage, certain events which might ring the spiritual alarm bell for us to be careful what we fear and how much fear energy we allow to exist in our lives and minds, of course. And of course, this doesn't have to be some kind of big tragedy. Like, I can give you a valid example from my culture, from my town. Now, people in my town have always had a massive flaw. It is basically just something which is very specific to my community. People are always very ungrateful. They're always complaining and trying to see the negative in absolutely everything. Of course, there is a good reason for this, because 30 years ago they did live in communism and life was extremely savage. But still, in the present, we are not in the communism. So they complained and were ungrateful for every little thing that an authority or everyone did for them. And now it is time for karma. And the way this played out was that a massive misunderstanding occurred between the local council and the firm who cleans the city, and overnight my city is flooded with garbage, with mess. So right now when we, go on the street, we have a lot of things to be ungrateful for, because we are almost drowned in garbage, in mess, in waste, so to speak. So this is a massive wake-up call for all of us from my community, from my town, that complaining, being ungrateful, and mistrusting, because mistrust is a fear, mistrusting absolutely anyone who might come from an authority is definitely going to lead to us creating what we fear the most and making it real. So as I said, it doesn't have to be a massive tragedy or doom and gloom. It is just a symbolic event that might happen in your community or on the world stage in this period, in this Pisces season, which can all of a sudden reveal where the true psychological flaw lies. Because just as our own mindset and our emotional charge influences our own personal realities, while collective reality depends on each and every person and their connections. This is going to be a very symbolic period where, if we pay attention, close attention to what happens in external reality, especially the coincidences and the symbolic events, of course, they bear a very powerful message for every single soul living in that community, or for us as humanity as a collective, generally speaking. But of course, we also have a really, really positive celestial conversation in the sky, and this is also somewhat karmic, but I do believe that this aspect represents the most positive, the most uplifting expression of karma, and this is where the sun, as I said, just freshly entered into the sign of Pisces, holds a sextile with Uranus from the sign of Taurus. Now this energy can represent very pleasant surprises, shocks, epiphanies, moments when we are confronted with a truth which might be much more joyful, much more positive in one word than we might have expected it. So this can play out as karmic rewards, karmic surprises, possibilities to offer you a breakthrough moment to get where you want to be, depending on where Pisces and Taurus are in your personal chart, that area of life. But it can also take the shape and form of unexpected, surprising communication, prophetic and really profound and meaningful dreams that can just one way or another influence you in the best direction possible, even if this takes place unconsciously. It can also be very lucky moments where you're just in the right place at the right time. It can also be people from the very distant past unexpectedly reaching out to you, communicating, messaging you, sharing something with you. Of course, which comes as a very pleasant surprise, maybe a chance to reconnect with them. But it can also represent unexpected help, a gift, a present, a donation from someone, either from the distant past, but it can also be someone totally new, someone who you're going to have a karmic connection with from the moment you meet onwards. This is also the energy of big revelation, disclosures, skeletons in the closet being revealed, regardless if that happens individually or personally. Time when secrets just come out unexpectedly, uncontrollably. And this is perfectly valid for the world stage. So we might see surprising news, surprising communications, maybe scientific discoveries that can change everything, or certain secrets coming to daylight, which definitely will shock us and surprise us, but they will also lead to a resolution, to something really positive. And even though Uranus is not a planet which has that much to do with emotions, the sign of Pisces does quite a lot. So this energy can also lead you to emotional clarity, where perhaps if you're not certain of what someone in your life, but someone, let's say, pretty close, or someone you have a solid connection with, is feeling, this energy can surprisingly just make that person reveal that to you, share it with you, one way or another. And of course, this is also valid mutually, because maybe a Freudian slip or a slip of the tongue might just start a very deep conversation where it will lead to revealing the true feelings that you might have for one another. The square between Saturn and Uranus is ongoing. So basically this is where in at least one area of our lives, all of us are striving and working very hard to release the old and take in the new, or start a new life, or try to adapt the best way and most practical way possible to the world changes, to everything that is changing, shifting, transforming our everyday reality. And this is perfectly true collectively as well, where, you know, ideologies have to clash, they have to battle each other, because the old ones are going to be deconstructed and new ones have to take their place. And from an economic and financial perspective, this is also perfectly true, because Uranus in the sign of Taurus is like an economic financial earthquake in itself. So there are going to be a lot of downs, ups, unexpected twists and turns of events. For example, cryptocurrency rising to the top and everything like that. But this is a long-term process. So this is something that we have to get used to. This conversation will perfect itself once again in June and then December. So this is basically the overall tone for the whole year 2021. Mercury is also just freshly out of retrograde, so it's still in shadow. It still has to go over its shadow path, so expect communication to resume. This is where we actually practically go out and do whatever it is that was put on hold in Mercury retrograde season. Go out and do the paperwork, the communication, contact whoever we need to contact, especially in the sign of Aquarius, authorities. It can also be our circle of friends or any group that we belong to. And from a collective perspective, Mercury and Aquarius is always a really, really good scientific energy. So expect a lot of progress in science, especially regarding those subjects and issues which under the Mercury retrograde season were under a shroud of uncertainty or mystery. For example, which medicine does what regarding the COVID situation, etc. We also have this really potent trine between Mars and Pluto, which is profound psychological empowerment, sheer willpower gifted to us in order for us to invest it in that area of life or in those matters which are most urgent for us, which need resolution, which need breakthrough, which need us to do a specific action or attract something in our lives, that this energy is really, really good for that. And even though it is a trine, so a blessing, it is celestial help, this might be a little bit uncomfortable still for some people, because this can also turn into obsession. This can also turn into try-hard attitude, where we just don't want to accept surrender, where we just don't want to shift our focus on anything else except what we think that matters to us. So that's why this needs a lot of wisdom, because if we use this energy towards trying to accomplish something, let's say impossible or improbable, or which really doesn't serve the greatest good, at least right now, well then this will feel like a massive struggle and it's gonna lead to frustration. So my advice is rather take this energy, this sheer willpower, and invest it where it is possible, where it can do the greatest good. And everyone knows their own lives and what chances, what possibilities and probabilities they have with certain different projects, different goals, different desires. So that is where you have to make the judgment of where to invest this energy, because if invested in a good way, in a rational, down-to-earth, logical way, it can do a lot of good. It can make your actions, your gestures empowered. It can make them magnetic. It can make them very persuasive. So basically work with your greatest strength. Work with your greatest virtue. That Pluto in Capricorn, your earthly power. Invest your focus there, because that cannot go wrong. And a very important suggestion here, Mars still holds a sextile with Neptune from the sign of Pisces, while also trining Pluto, and this energy is basically a green flag for artists. Create, feel, do whatever it is that you do, because this is when you're most empowered. This is when inspiration just fills you, and it can, charge up your artistic or spiritual or soul level batteries for the rest of the year. So create, paint, dream, feel, use escapism if that is your means of, receiving inspiration from the ether. Do whatever it is that you feel like doing, because this is the time to create. This is the time to focus on your talent and to use it practically. And Pluto in Capricorn and Mars in Taurus. Now Mars is not very comfortable in Taurus, but it does get things done. Just imagine if you're an artist. Well, the image in your imagination, in your mind, is one thing, but when you have to, paint it or sculpt it or express it any shape or form, even if you're a musician, well, it's not as easy because you need to find the physical shapes, the colors or the tone or, whatever, but it's still not very easy. And that part is the Mars in Taurus. But Pluto in Capricorn promises you that if you truly invest your energy into creating or expressing yourself as an artist, and of course sharing it, because if you're an artist, you charge your creation, regardless of what kind of artist you are, even if you're just an amateur artist, you still charge your creation with a little bit of your soul, that Pluto in Capricorn. You give a shape and form on here down on Earth, Capricorn, to your creation. So you're giving the inner divine a physical representation, and that bears power. That bears exactly this psychological empowerment. So sharing it is like influencing people, inspiring people. The beauty that you have placed into your work can just be attractive. So that's how it can lead to success, material income, and even financial breakthrough. Especially if you're an amateur artist. If you really put all your soul into your creations right now, you can never know where it leads to. It can turn into a massive success, even if not right now in this very moment. We have Jupiter entering into Pisces in the summer, so that will definitely bring a lot of good fortune into your life, especially if you're an artist. And if you're a spiritualist or work with the metaphysical or the occult, well, this is the time to take action. This is the time to manifest, to do the great divine work that you're doing, so you kind of know what you have to do. And last but not least, remember at the beginning I said that even though Mars trine Pluto is harmonious, it is a blessing, it can still feel uncomfortable for some people. This is where Mars also holds a square with Venus. Venus almost anaretic in the sign of Aquarius. Anaretic means that it is in the last degrees of the sign. Its symbolism taking on the shadow expression. And that energy can lead to a lot of emotional frustration, especially if you cannot get what you want, or if you have the wisdom not to invest this psychological empowerment, your energy, your focus, your work into just sheer pleasure. Yet still this Venus in Aquarius screams at you that okay, but my pleasure is also very important in this life. So for a lot of people this can cause a lot of frustration of why they're not serving their own pleasures as well. But fortunately this energy is gonna dissipate very, very quickly, because Venus tomorrow is moving into the sign of Pisces, a place in the sky where she loves being, where she's exalted, she is unbound, she is simply an endless source of compassion, unconditional love, and all the other romantic qualities of Venus. Now, in the second part of this recording, we get to the tarot reading, a spiritual guidance where the universe advises us how we should process what is happening right now. Well, here we have the Emperor reverse, the Nine of Wands, and the Moon cards, and clarified by the High Priest and the Six of Swords. Now, the Emperor reversed and the Nine of Wands is almost like a contradiction, like a dichotomy. Because the Emperor reverse simply says that from very many perspectives, we are not truly in control of what is going on in our lives right now, as in today or in the coming days. And the reason for this is, well, on one hand, as I said in the astrology part, this is a very intense karmic period, so fate has to play out one way or another, and many times we have no choice in that. We have no other option but to allow, but to observe and process it, to draw conclusions, lessons, but this is all we can truly do. But on the other hand, that Nine of Wands is the exact opposite of this, because we do feel so much power inside of us. We are so very aligned to whatever it is that we want to accomplish, to our goals, our dreams, the future, at least its version, which we would like to experience. So we are in a state of readiness to just invest all our power into something. And that something is maybe an opportunity, an option, a possibility, a connection, an offer, anything that can give us the chance to get to where we want to go, and in the very short future. In other words, we are so very ready to live our lives. We feel the inner strength needed to adapt to everything that life may throw at us, and this is where we know without a shadow of a doubt that life is going to be throwing a lot of things in our way, because this is the big world change that all of us as a species are experiencing together. So that will mean a lot of challenges, a lot of unexpected events, a lot of things getting out of control on the world stage. So that will have to reflect one way or another in our personal lives. Even if we are absolutely harmonious, in control of ourselves, self-disciplined, yet still what happens externally, what happens in the world as a collective, that doesn't depend on us that much. And we still feel this inner courage, this inner power, this sense of excitedness, the anticipation to go out there and finally do whatever it is that we feel that we need to do for ourselves, for our futures. We just want to live, we just want to do, we just want to experience life, we just want to go on that adventure, the next chapter. But this is where we just have to learn how to manage this inner power, how to contain this energy and not allow it to turn into our own worst enemies. Because when we are full of that inner strength, inner power, desires, when we are so aligned with our goals, our truth, everything, we feel like a restless child just waiting to go out there and play, waiting for us to prove what we can do, how well we can expand that energy of ours. But the Emperor Reverse tells us that right now it is not really up to us. It is karma, it is fate choosing where we can use that inner strength to have an influence, but which area of life it is, where we have to surrender, be patient, and just work with the divine timing and contain that energy, preserve it until the time comes when we have to do something with it. But the good part is that we don't really have to worry that much of making the wrong choice or whatever, because the Emperor Reverse also represents that we might not have that many opportunities in our lives just yet. And this is actually a good thing, because we mustn't force those opportunities to come to us. We have to still try our hardest to stay in the flow and just work with divine timing. But the negative effect of this is that many of us, despite feeling that inner strength, also feel so very helpless, feel so very powerless in life, in physical reality. And this is like a dichotomy, this is like an inner conflict for some people, because how can you feel so very powerful, intense, aligned, and totally powerless at the same time? And if you are someone who is experiencing this, don't worry, don't fear, don't feel helpless at all, because you don't really have to be in control. Just trust the universe, just trust yourself, trust your own intelligence, your own unconscious mind, that you are feeling this inner energy for a very good reason. Something will come very soon, which will give you the chance to invest your energy into it. And whatever you desire the most, whatever you're planning for your future, well, it will definitely come, the opportunity will come, and you can co-create it, you can build it, you can work towards it. Your chance, your opportunity will come, but you still need to be a little bit patient and let just fate do its own thing. Perhaps this Emperor reverse doesn't even refer to your life. Maybe something karmic, fated, has to happen in the life of another person. Maybe a total stranger even, someone who you don't even know yet. Maybe this is the way that you will get connected to these opportunities. So don't take the Emperor reverse, not being able to be in full control of your life or king of your castle. Don't take this as a bad thing. It is actually the universe just working in the background. And you know, when your computer is overloaded a little bit, you don't give it more tasks, you just wait until it finishes the ones it's doing right now. And this is how we should take this present moment. Just be patient with ourselves, be patient with our universe, and if there is no way how we can expand that inner energy of ours, let's just preserve it, let's just put it away for a more opportune period which cannot be that far away. And the moon is almost self-explanatory. The soul is in control right now. So whatever happens in our lives today and in the next following days, well, that is what our soul needs. That is what our soul chose. And we have to just listen to our hearts, listen to our inner voices, to our dreams and intuitions, because those are gonna hold the truth right now. And the Hierophant and also the Six of Swords is the guidance itself. Well, the divine voice is telling us, regardless what our minds, our rationality, our mental sphere might be signaling us, for a lot of people it can be full of fear, insecurities, doubts. For others it can be deadlines approaching. For example, you have to pay the mortgage or you have to pay this and that, and you just don't have the money right now. For others it can come through as a mini life crisis where, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my time? What am I doing, professionally or materially or even socially as a human being? So the High Priest is telling us that this is where we truly have to have faith. Faith that we are connected to the divine and it will definitely serve our greatest good. But even more importantly than that, faith in ourselves. We truly need to trust ourselves, our potential. It's not even the present or the past, it's the future. We have to trust that we will definitely reach our greatest potential and we have everything that we need inside of us, our skills, talents, virtues, everything, in order to have a truly bright and meaningful future. And the Hierophant is also self-worth. This is where we truly have to focus on this. We have to be self-supportive. We have to be there for ourselves and have deep, deep faith and trust, especially in our future potentials, because the way we look at ourselves, feel for ourselves in this period, well, that is what the universe can take for granted. That is what it's going to be building on. So we must make sure that we are okay with ourselves right now, because if we are not, then it's bad news. So if certain things are stagnating in your life, Know that this is a window of opportunity that the universe gives us to catch up with inner work. As in, you really, really have to find your true faith right now and just allow your optimism, allow what you believe in, allow the most beautiful parts of yourself to dictate your worldview, your life philosophy. Everything must support you right now. And the only way this is going to happen is if you embody that vibe, if you embody that faith, and if you truly, truly believe in yourself. And the Six of Swords, well, we must not forget that we are in the age of Aquarius. We had the great conjunction in Aquarius, and we have a lot of planets in Aquarius right now. So that is mind over matter. When you have real faith in yourself, when you believe in your future, when you seek sanctity, hope, positivity within you because you know that it's there, you know that your life has a meaning, you know that your soul is here for a very important reason, then your mind will simply feed on this. And when your mind feeds on something divine, something pure, something truly positive, then your everyday thoughts are going to be empowered, positive, and that is what you're going to create for yourself. You know, the Six of Swords, you wish a different life for yourself. You wish to finally be able to start that new beginning, to live it, to practically do it. Well then, even if you just fantasize about that, even if you just play with thoughts, even if you just play with ideas, even if they're just sheer fantasy and imagination, well, you're still feeding something really positive into the cosmos because your thoughts are also filled with emotions, because if something would make you very happy, then gratitude just follows that. So basically, even daydreaming, even just fantasizing of what you would like to experience in the future is a great way to make it happen. This is basically like your personal invitation for the universe's creational energies, which, you know, just like destruction, creation doesn't discriminate either. If you offer a universe a matrix, something, a scheme, a plan, something it can work with, well, of course it's going to start creating it because you opened a window for its creational energies to enter your life and do something. Just like when you really, really fear and are paranoid about something, you open the window to its more destructive and shadowy sides. And if you combine this with true, authentic trust in yourself and faith in yourself or whatever, you already have this alchemical power to literally make sure that your future does head in that direction. Of course, it won't meet your fantasies or your anticipation 100%. It won't be exactly as you expected. But what you wish for can still be created, so to speak. And it can even surpass your expectations. So this is one way where you can truly use that inner empowerment right now to just make yourself attractive spiritually for the creational energies to just enter your life and start working with your desires. Well, this concludes today's reading. Thank you so much for listening. I do hope that you found it useful and that you enjoyed it. Until next time, bye for now.